welcome back to another episode of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wolfson, and got my little co-host here, Cami, today. So she's saying hi to everybody. If you don't know Cami, she's my Bijan Ceesay. She loves being in the studio with me. Okay, so today's interview is really exciting. I'm speaking with Ceesay. He is the co-founder and CEO of Calaxy app, which is a decentralized social media app where creators can actually own their content, own their data. And this is just such an important concept, especially, in the social media time that we're living in, where creators have all this content on platforms like TikTok or Instagram, but those platforms can instantly vanish and creators lose all of their content. So this is a really exciting episode to hear about Calaxy and to hear about Solo and his background in the Web3 space. Can't wait for you guys to listen, so stay tuned for the entire episode. Also, before getting started with today's interview, I want to take the time to thank Kwai Network. Here we are again in Austin at the Kwai Network studio. So big shout out to Kwai, and thank you again for letting us use this beautiful podcasting space. I really appreciate it, and it means so much to me. I also want to take the time to thank another sponsor behind today's episode, ChainGPT. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you again for sponsoring today's interview with Solo. It means so much. And I also want to take the time to remind you guys to like and subscribe, especially if you like the content that you're seeing today. I've got so much more of it coming, so just want to stay in touch with you guys. Okay, without further ado, let's get started with today's interview. Hey, Solo, how's it going?
It's going well.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Super exciting.
I know, and I'm so glad we got to reconnect at South by Southwest this year.
Absolutely. Long time coming.
I know, and we met in person 2 years ago at Consensus, I think it was.
Yeah, exactly. A long time ago.
Yeah, so we keep meeting up in Austin.
That's the place to be.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk all about, Calaxy app and what you're doing and what you're building there. But before getting into that, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got involved in the Web3 space?
Yeah, for sure. I've been in the space for about 5 years now, probably a little bit more than that actually, but professionally in the space for about 5 years. Prior to finding Calaxy and joining the Web3 space, I worked in investment banking. And so my co-founder, Spencer Dinwiddie, who plays on the Dallas Mavericks, him and I teamed up a number of years ago. Him and my older brother are actually best friends. So that's kind of how this all came together. They're more like my older brothers, but on any given day, they could be my younger brothers, just depending on how they want to act. But he was a trailblazer in this space. And what we did together is he securitized his MBA contract. He took his MBA contract, put it on the blockchain, actually, sold some ERC20 tokens. And he wanted to democratize his contract. Originally, he wanted to do things with player incentives. Like if he played really well, maybe people got kickbacks out of his contract. But the NBA didn't really like that much, so he got sued for doing that. Ended up winning, went with a different model, did a debt offering. So it was really more just like a strategic financing or securitization more traditionally. But that really just set the tone and paved the way for what we do now, which is trying to help content creators really access the value they create. And we think that blockchain is the best base layer technology to do that. And so it's been a super long journey, raised a couple rounds of financing, iterated and built product numerous times and all of that stuff. But it's been quite the journey, but couldn't be more excited for where the industry's headed.
Yeah, I know. You've been in the industry for a long time. What, since 2017 or?
Yeah, 2018.
2018, yeah. So you've been in it for a while. Yeah. But did you initially get interested because of what your co-founder did with his NBA contract, or were you interested to begin with?
To be honest, I was really skeptical because, I have a pretty traditional, I have the most traditional Wall Street background prior to working at Calaxy. Like I said, I was on Wall Street prior to that. I went to the Wharton School of Business. So just, for me to find out that the entirety of my educational journey was obsolete or basically based on, some crazy guys on the internet saying that decentralization is the future when I'd learned, everything about the centralized paradigm we live in today. It was kind of hard to accept, and I'll always give Spencer his credit. He brought Web3 to me. But back then it wasn't even referred to as Web3, right? Like at the time.
Right.
But just really understanding the future of value transfer and like everything being a chip on the table, and just really thinking about how fast and how fluid value could really transmit across networks, really got me excited and intrigued versus really just making a ton of money. I wasn't really one of those people that came in here trying to, trade the crazy market. Although I did trade, did make money, did lose money. Everyone kind of goes through that initial bull run phase, but it's been quite the journey. And honestly, you learn a lot about yourself and honestly the world. And it's crazy how these technologies are just so reflective of the things that we're starting to see now. Like the need for decentralization is starting to show up in so many different parts of our life, whether it's social media, whether it's people being debanked, censorship, and all of that stuff. So it's just a full circle moment to see it all come together.
Yeah. So obviously your background is impressive, and it's fascinating to hear your story about how you got involved in the industry. And tell us a little bit about what you've been building. It's called Calaxy app.
Yeah. Calaxy. It's been yeah, I've been saying that over it. It's quite the journey. You can tell I'm tired.
Yeah.
The Web3 journey. But Calaxy, yeah, we are a social platform, and I think our biggest sell today is really ownership, a community formation. And so we released a product called Worlds, which really allows content creators to create their own online communities. And they really get to own them, right? So the problem with traditional social today is that all the content you post lives on the platform, and they really benefit from that. They sell ads, and really the game here is trying to find a way to capture attention within a crazy vacuum. And we see a different world where the rise of semi-private and private social networks really allow people to have complete control over the people that join those communities. And so Calaxy is really meant to help, influencers, creators, businesses really funnel their audience to a platform where they really control it, whether that's, keeping it token gated if you really want to get with the Web3 aspect of things, or if you want it to be subscription gated, like how people are familiar with, like, a content creator might want to subscription gate their world, so to speak, kind of like a Discord channel or, whatever, but added functionality in terms of how you can gate it, keep it open for everyone, or, invite only. So it's private and it's just you and a couple buddies that are in a group chat. But essentially we just see this as a different type of product in the social media sphere, built around ownership and the user experience. And I really mean like the user's experience versus the platform's experience, right? Like I think social media for the last 10 years or so has really evolved to a point where the platforms have continued to find a way to be more intrusive with what they want from their users, collecting more data, inserting more ads in between the content that we post. And so we wanted to find a way to cut the noise, right? We're having a one-to-one conversation here, very quiet. I'd imagine social media is really like if we tried to have this conversation at a noisy restaurant, whereas like Worlds really allows you to have this conversation wherever you want on your terms, and no one can really take that away from you.
Right.
And so back to the previous point, it's just, we thought about, our product originally, it was really focused on monetization, just simply, a crypto wallet that allowed a creator to monetize their time, which you can do within a world as well. You can set up a storefront, sell experiences to your fan base, et cetera, and monetize. So you're not fighting for attention on someone else's timeline. You are the timeline. Or you're not fighting for attention on the platform. You are the platform, right, is the concept. But our original piece was really that base layer of taking Web3 technology and the value transfer and making it really easy. Because right now that really just lives in dApps and wallets, but that's just so unintuitive to the market we're trying to serve. So Calaxy's vision has always been trying to find a way to usher in adoption for the next 100 million users, and not really trying to find ways to build upon the products of the current user base that we have in crypto today.
Okay, let's kind of break down the concepts a little bit for our listeners. So Calaxy is a decentralized social media app, and you showed it to me, and it's kind of like, but not really, but kind of like TikTok or Instagram. Like creators from TikTok can come on to Calaxy and kind of have their content, right? But why is it, in terms of like owning your data and owning your content, why is decentralization so important?
It's important because the algorithm is biased, right? It's biased to the needs of the platform itself. And so some people's content, naturally, it's going to form to the sense of what the algorithm is surfacing for. So another way to think about it is if you're a content creator, there's certain types of content that are going to perform well in the algorithm, so you make that type of content, which is not what content creators are supposed to do. They're supposed to create what you want, right? Like we don't live in a world like that anymore. So like, and the reason why you can't is because maybe you lose the brand deals and the monetization is so far because the platforms don't really pay their creators out enough for the content they make. So they're really beholden to these large centralized businesses that have their own interests. And, we see decentralization as really important because like, I mentioned being able to funnel your audience to a space where you completely control who gets in and who gets out and completely control whether or not your message gets across, right? Like I said with, I was talking to Spencer about this the other day, but we had this like aha moment where it's like your followers don't really matter anymore, right? Like you can get deplatformed tomorrow. TikTok could get banned tomorrow, whatever it is. And all of a sudden you're, shit out of luck. Whereas we see a world where if you own that community, you own your following base, you're really able to develop that next level version or that next level relationship with your fan base. And you can really do more things and mobilize them. I see a world where someone has their, no pun intended, their own world where a music artist is able to, build a tribe of close supporters, and maybe they don't need to sign that really awful record label deal to monetize their content, but they could get supported by their closest, fans. Maybe they could, in our platform, we're going to release ticketing as well so that you could do live events as well. So you could take your own self on tour, rent out a bunch of lounges across the country, sell tickets and have your fans support you to go see yourself. Like we really see a world of complete ownership and really making those possibilities, all those possibilities possible. And I think that really comes with the power of Web3.
Got it. Okay. But let's talk about the Web3 element behind. I mean, I've got a lot of questions for you, but I'd really like to focus on like what makes Calaxy Web3 focused. So like what blockchain is it built on?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the token.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say there's two ways to really think about it. So Calaxy is a part of a broader, more decentralized ecosystem called the Creators Galaxy, governed by the CLXY token, right? So Calaxy is the first application on top of this protocol. But we see it as an application layer for blockchains, right? Like it doesn't really, so Farcaster, for example, is another decentralized protocol that has tons of apps, right? Similar type of ecosystem, but none of the application layers are interesting enough for an average person to want to use. And so Calaxy is like the first application layer that's built on that. So maybe you log in with your Calaxy account, and eventually when there are more sister applications on this protocol, you can take that identity with you and sign in just like you sign in with your Meta account to Instagram, then you go to Facebook, and then you go to the other applications. This sort of fragmented, decentralized ecosystem where developers can build applications around the Calaxy ecosystem that leverage these identities is kind of one point in terms of the decentralization. And then also the concept of like having a crypto wallet and self-custodying your funds, right? So like you as a creator, every user has a crypto wallet built in. And that wallet supports Hedera. Shout out to Hedera, one of our large partners. It supports Solana as well as Base, ETH, and we're trying to expand the functionality of it. But another way to really think about Calaxy is it's like a crypto wallet with a social media front-end experience that makes it useful, right? You can send crypto just like a text through DMs on Calaxy, right? Which is very difficult to do with any other wallet. And you've seen even wallets like Phantom add, usernames to make it a little bit easier, but it just doesn't really have the richness of a traditional social experience. And so, yeah, that's, kind of how it all goes together. Whereas Calaxy is like that application layer. It's that funnel. We see it as the entry into this broader decentralized ecosystem. And it's easy because you can sign up, save it down to your home screen. We're a web app as well. So you can't find Calaxy in the App Store. You go to calaxy.com, save it down to your home screen to install it or bookmark it. And we've even repeated that behavior to each world that creator create or sub-community. You could think of it like Reddit, or you could think of it like Discord. Each community inside Calaxy is also its own installable web app as well, which allows effectively any creator of a world to direct their fan base to their own app. And so that's kind of like when you think about decentralized principles as a whole, even within the world of our platform, we see a world where Calaxy completely eliminates its own fees from its platform. Like, you can make money on Calaxy. Most of these types of platforms charge a service fee. Finding ways to, because you have a token or you have some sort of economic model attached to this, we see a world where Calaxy fees virtually go to zero, right? And maybe we look at, different things like introducing stable coins to incentivize people to stay on chain and bank themselves, et cetera. But it's a really big super app, if you will.
Okay, got it. Now, it's interesting because we met earlier at South by Southwest here in Austin. That's where we are now. And you were telling me about why it's important for Calaxy and for you to be here. And you did a few official South by Southwest panels. And I want to kind of dig into that because you're kind of focused on a Web 2 community, but this is a Web 3 app.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beauty of it is we're selling a vision of ownership to creators, right? Like TikTok got, banned for a second and now it's back. But, in that 12-hour period, people were really distraught on whether or not they'd be able to make their ends meet, how they'd be able to, continue to do what it is they do. And when you think about these platforms and the way people really look at them, the profession of content creation is legitimate. It very much so is. Like, I mean, look at what we're doing here. This is a legitimate profession, but the social media platforms don't treat it as such. They have complete control and power of that, and it's just not smart business to do that. And so for us, at South by Southwest, we announced that we had $1 million accelerator fund for ourselves to invest in creators building their own worlds that they own. And the beauty of it is, it's, free capital to really build something that you own and can hold in your hands. And, our goal here is to kickstart a revolution where creators start to think about what they do a little bit differently. And I think what makes it really easy for us to offer that vision is the Web3 backend. But the problem, like I've said before, is a lot of people with similar narratives, just the user experience isn't quite there, or it doesn't really have much of a use case, or it's not applicable. And so for us, we really spent the extra time building that real traditional, Spencer liked to call it Ferrari polish. Like, we've been building Calaxy for 5 years and just shipped like the app that, we're really proud of. But, we're proud to say that, our target is Instagram level, Twitter level, or X level polish. And it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And that's what we need it to feel like if you want those types of people to really use it. And that's going to be where you really get adoption. And I remember an interview with Anatoly, from Solana, had a discussion with the Defiant talking about how he thought that a Venmo-like application within the crypto, ecosystem would be transformative for the industry because wallets aren't really easy to use. Like, even the best wallets, which I love wallets for what they are and what they do because I'm a super Web3 user. But the reality is most people aren't going to be, right? Most people aren't tech savvy at all. They just use the platforms that we have. And so I think we have we've over-indexed on layer ones. There's a new layer one every day. There's another way to scale and decentralize something, but we've really under-indexed on those user experiences and user applications that really give you a reason to even, be in Web3 in the first place.
That's true. I agree with you on that for sure. And you showed me the app, and you also showed me the web interface, and it's amazing. Like, it really is.
Thank you.
It looks, to me, it kind of looked like TikTok, or, it was really crazy to see because it is a decentralized social media app. It's, a Web3 product, I guess, but it really does look like any other app.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort goes in there. I got to shout out my designer, Chad Weston, and my dev team led by Ryan Lakey, my CTO. And those guys are really, really looking at it. They're in the war room every day trying to find a way to limit the friction. Like, you can create a Calaxy account in 30 seconds and set up a wallet with Magic. Shout out Magic, one of our partners, within a minute. And that's what the user experience actually, should look like. If you want to have a 12-word mnemonic seed phrase, you can also do that if you want to set up a wallet that you maintain the keys yourself for. But the next 100 million users probably don't want to maintain keys just because they don't really care about their data anyway, based on how we use it. And I think the one thing too is just, Spencer and I are really the people to build this, right? Like, a lot of our friends are the people that are in the entertainment industry, right? Like, I wasn't a pro athlete, but a lot of my friends ended up going. I was a D1 athlete.
What's a D1 athlete?
Division I.
Oh.
So I played at like the highest level of college sports as well. So a lot of my friends naturally went to go play on the next level, and we are friends with a lot of these people. And so Calaxy's also been an intellectual exercise with, scanning the market and really understanding, like, hey, would you use it like this? Reaching out to our musician friends, reaching out to our podcaster friends, and just trying to really iterate to a product experience that will be easily scaled. And Steve Jobs always used to say you got to start with the customer and work back to the product, right? Yeah. And so for us, that's really the attitude we took, is you got to start with the user experience and really make sure that that's really good. We can sit here and pontificate on the importance of blockchain and decentralization and get all intellectual and big brained on people, but at the end of the day, we're in the product business.
Yeah, got it. No, that makes perfect sense. And then let's talk about Worlds, because this is some new news, and then the fund that you're doing with Worlds. Explain that and explain what the fund is, what the point of the fund is, how many creators have been accepted already.
Yeah, sure. So Worlds, like I mentioned, it's like if you go to Calaxy.com and save it down to your home screen like a traditional progressive web app or PWA, we expect those to become really popular, actually, just web apps. Like Calaxy has also been built in such an opposite direction that it's like very difficult to foresee someone copying this even from the legacy side, because everything we use is iOS native. Like Apple is the ultimate gatekeeper, and Google, for the applications we use. You have to go through the Apple approval process to be listed in the App Store, and you have to abide by their rules. They could charge 30%, whatever it is. For us, we just went the opposite direction and built, in the web. But back to Worlds, what it does is it takes that PWA technology that we use to build Calaxy and scales it out to the creator. So now everyone can launch their own app in a matter of seconds within Calaxy. So where Pump Fund was for tokens and meme coin launches and just allowing people to launch tokens on chain, we are for web infrastructure to launch a community, essentially, right? And even what stores, we could be the application layer on top of a Pump Fund. So instead of just launching a token for a pump and dump, you might token gate it for a community because there's actually utility in your token now. Like we are the operating system or the utility layer for the chain. And so with Worlds, we're really focused on also scaling that out to Web 2 audiences, where you get someone like I see a world where someone like Joe Rogan one day isn't trying to be on Spotify. He's on his own app. Like he's taking himself direct to consumer to his fan base, like the example with the music artists taking themselves on tour. Even if you're Spencer, you could offer basketball lessons, whatever you want. I think for us, it's really scaling that experience outwards. And the fund is really designed to help kickstart that revolution and really reward and incentivize people to build in this new way where they start to care about community ownership and recognize that having 1 million followers on Instagram is cool. You should absolutely keep doing that. That's your distribution channel. You'll always be able to funnel people into your world. But your world is your home ground. It's your place away from the noise, and it's where you can control what happens inside of that. And so the fund is designed to find 50 creators who are going to be eligible up to $20,000 in rewards to build their communities. They're going to, we're going to work with our team. And for us, it's going to be a great opportunity to understand what people might want to even use something like this for. So it's like a nice little incubator, accelerator platform. And, this is just the first class. We put it together. We're figuring it out as we go. But ultimately, we'd like to decentralize this where maybe like the next 50 were our creators that were selected by the creators we selected that we feel like align with this vision. And we could really decentralize the gatekeepers and really incentivize a new relationship or a new paradigm where creators are like the social experience is really centered around the creators as it should be.
Right. And then did you say that 2 creators have already been accepted into the fund? Can you tell us who those creators are?
Yeah, so Mecca and Jamila, they're two ladies, wonderful ladies. They were actually here with us at South by Southwest. They were there on stage when I made the announcement. But they have a podcast together. They're really big TikTokers, and they call themselves self-identified yappers. And they're just interesting. They love and they just need a platform, right? And so for us, like, TikTok, the band just showed that immediately they could, potentially have lost all the work that they've put into. And even on stage, Mecca was saying, she never really took content creation seriously because of that fact. Like, it is so fleeting. And just like I was alluding to earlier, this is a very legitimate industry. Like, we spend so much time on the internet. And so a lot of creators could probably or should probably make way more of a living off of it versus what it currently is. And so just, they really exemplify, that concept and that use case. And so for them, we're really excited to see what they do with their world. They each have their own world, but they also have a joint one for their podcast. And like I mentioned, that's like going direct to consumer. Imagine if Joe Rogan, like I said, was going direct to consumer. This allows you to maybe charge $1 a month for everyone that joins your world to listen to your podcast. And
that's awesome.
That could be very legitimate revenue that ordinarily would just go to the platform and go to pennies on the dollar to the creator.
I love that. and I told you this before, I'm going to get on Calaxy and I'm going to get the podcast on there. And because
you absolutely should.
It's such a good idea. For creators everywhere.
You absolutely should. I think it's about ownership and it's about giving people a platform. I think the only other way you could really do something like this is WordPress model, maybe like people build their own websites, but it's not uniform and it's difficult, costs a lot of money. Setting up a world on Calaxy literally takes 30 seconds. Like, it's not that hard. You could set up a world for any type of way that you want it to, brand it the way you want to. And the most important thing is like real estate on the home screen. Like, you're able to like reach out and grab your follower through the home screen. Like, when they unlock their phone, they see Mecca's face or Rachel's face, Solo's face, Spencer's face on their home screen. They can get notified, hey, Solo's going live right now in his app, join immediately. And I think the beauty of it is like all of these worlds are interconnected with the same Calaxy credential to line in. So once you join one world, you can immediately join another. You don't have to create a new account because it's a Calaxy account. If the access permits, right? Like if you had a special credential, like a token that you needed in your wallet, then you obviously couldn't join. Or if you had to pay and you don't want to, obviously couldn't join. But the concept is really this sort of federated social experience where you're able to join, and Calaxy really just becomes this cluster and network of worlds with people having different things in there. And I think the beauty of it is also like Calaxy is still a normal experience. If you download Calaxy app, you'll be able to discover all the different worlds you could join. But I think it's one of the things where it just rewards people for being different versus being the same. Like, I think the current algorithm rewards people who are able to be like-minded, or and I think that was death of the individual. If you think about it, we all have the same views. You can get canceled now and all these types of things because of the algorithm. Whereas like I think for us, we're not an algorithm business. Like TikTok is just the algorithm. For us, we're a business built on creative ownership. So like I said, flipping the model on its head and really trying to build from the ground up on the shoulders of creators, and really allowing them to rise versus the platforms really just extracting as much value as possible for every user.
I thought it was interesting what you said about like with the token gated portion. You said you can join a world if you have. Sometimes worlds can be joined for free, but sometimes you may need an asset like a token. And tell me if I'm right here. So if I had a world, I could actually make my own token, like a Rachel token or a Web3 deep dive token. And in order for someone to enter that world, they would need to hold that token.
Yeah.
Is that how it would work?
Correct. You could have an NFT as well. So like think about the Bored Ape Yacht Club or all these NFT projects. I think there's going to be a huge wave that comes back soon. And you could specify too. It could be a certain amount of balance, right? Like it could be like you need $20 a Rachel token to join. It could be, or whatever the token amount might be, and you can complete control and autonomy over who gets that space, which is just such a foreign concept if you think about how we use the internet. And I think that it's gonna take a little while, I think, but once people realize like, oh crap, like I'm the prize, like I am the platform, it's a very different mantra. And I think you're seeing all these celeb coin launches. And there's so many different things. Like maybe someone launches a coin to fund they're a production studio. They launch their own coin to fund their next, production, and they have a world where people that are, token holders get access to that content versus selling that for pennies on the dollar to a Netflix to go get not watched, and then you lose the IP, right? I think it's just thinking about, the enhanced forms of media. You're already seeing it with the decentralization of modern media. YouTubers, big podcasters, even like yourself that have their own platforms. This is just an additional tool for them to really professionalize and scale up that business.
How many users are on Calaxy?
Right now we have about 100,000 users. We launched Worlds in late last year. But with this new class of creators, we expect that to grow really quickly just because these people have some really, really large, vibrant communities that we're super excited about to help them really, monetize and really engage with their users. So the beauty of it is their users are our users. And we want to make sure we're aligned at the hip with our creators, and so that, our success equals their success. Whereas it's very different, whereas like creator gets 1 million followers on TikTok, that might not equal success. Right? I know a lot of people personally who's like, been creators and now they all of a sudden don't make content really anymore, but they have 1 million followers. And like, what does that really mean then?
Right. So with Calaxy, it's free for anybody to use, and then they can also earn rewards, earn, cryptocurrency if they want, and also fiat.
Yeah,
It's like fiat and crypto.
Yeah, you can definitely. Yeah, exactly. So like if a creator opens their own world and they start selling experiences, like for example, like there's like a whole marketplace where you can set up your own shop, and your shop really allows you to monetize anything digital. So instead of just subscriptions, it could be a video call, it could be a video message like, the Cameo product. It could be a special request where you set a minimum threshold a special request where you set a minimum threshold and a certain amount of money must be, must be deposited or spent to request anything from your fans. So it might be, I want you to come to my house and perform at my, bat mitzvah, whatever that might be. And you can offer that as well here. And the beauty of it is you can pay for it with crypto, you can pay for it with fiat. And the creator that takes those funds in can withdraw those funds in the form of fiat to their bank account or directly to their crypto wallet for safekeeping and self-custody. Okay. And so it's really meant to be this bridge between Web 2 and 3. And really the bridge between creators and their fans.
Right. And I definitely think it's a good way to drive mainstream adoption, as you mentioned. My question is this. So with social media today, and like I'm seeing this a lot and you're probably seeing it a lot, there are fake profiles being made, AI is generating deep fakes. There's all of these concerns around that. So how will Calaxy, and like what are your thoughts on that in general? And like how will Calaxy handle those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, those are industry-wide challenges. X and Instagram are trying their best to handle it as well. I'd love to get on the phone here. I'd love to get on the mic here and tell you that I even have an answer for their problems too. But it's something that we've been really, really working with, trying to use and enhance platform security with the use of like AI tooling and stuff just to help educate the users on what they might be able to see. So we've been experiencing with trying to find ways with, content moderation, all that stuff. But at the same time, we're looking to try and keep a pretty, a fair, hands-off, decentralized approach in allowing and enabling creators to have complete autonomy and users as well. And I think it just goes back to like platform education and really understanding and really warning people to understand that the internet is not the internet that we grew up on. Technology is outpacing us. Like we're not able to keep up with how fast technology is advancing. There's always going to be a new, younger generation of people with nefarious intentions. And us as a company are going to try our very best to try and support and keep eyes on it. I think we're doing more than everyone else by being built with cutting edge technology, not outdated systems. And so for us, it's really that. And lastly, it's using the blockchain to its advantage, thinking about things like decentralized identity, provenance, and really finding ways to exemplify that in our platform so that people can have that trust layer additionally as well, to really make that be the case. And I think that's really only achievable with a blockchain.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, shifting gears a little bit because we kind of touched on meme coins, or you mentioned meme coins, and because it's a Web3 podcast,
let's go.
Just want to get your thoughts on a few other things. What are your thoughts on meme coins?
Meme coins. Meme coins. I've written a lot of stuff personally, even about meme coins as well, because I think what meme coins are today aren't what they will be tomorrow. I don't think people are fully grasping what the power of, and the innovation. I know a lot of people have, things to say about Pump Fund or whether it's been good or net bad to the industry. Obviously, you can see a lot of people use it to extract capital from, innocent fans who are looking to buy something. But I think when you look at the positive lens of it and what it enables is it really allows people to get behind a collective, an idea, a person. And I think what's really missing is that next additional layer of utility, like a Calaxy, to make that token have a use outside of just number go up and number go down. And I think if you think about what meme coins could be eventually, like, strong ones could turn into big brands that end up being much more than just the meme coin itself, right? So think about popular meme coin, Pepe the Frog. Everyone has seen Pepe the Frog on the internet. It's, cultural. There's whole backstory and lore about it. Who's to say that the Pepe meme coin community doesn't turn itself into some sort of decentralized content studio where like cartoons and, commercials, ads, products are able to be manufactured and create a religion behind this ideology. I think that's kind of where you see the future of meme coins outside of just the speculation on, more people coming into the trade and out. So we're still obviously in the early days, but I'm bullish on the future of DLT and meme coins. And I think you're going to see this convergence. And I mentioned it and I called it meme-tility, which is the concept of like meme coins are going to have to converge with utility tokens because I think they're all going to have some sort of utility at the end of the day. I think we're just in the very early stages of where people, are obviously super excited about the new technology and just like the internet and all early technologies, there are people that exploit it. But, I'm bullish on the future of meme coins and what their intersection with utility really looks like.
Yeah, I love that response. I always like to hear people's thoughts on things like meme coins And then my next question is, what are your thoughts on NFTs? Do you think they're going to make a comeback?
Yeah. NFTs will make a comeback. I think it's the same thing over. Like the utility argument is really key because the blockchain does serve a big purpose, and I think monetizing content royalties is really important too. But there just aren't great base layer and application layers for artists to want to use this stuff. It's just so far away from their everyday life that, once the market starts to go away, then it's even harder to get these people excited about it. It's when the price goes up infinitely, people are super excited and they're willing to step out and learn things. But I think, we as an industry need to come together and really, expect more out of our developers, expect more out of our teams and products and businesses, and really trying to meet them where they're at versus trying to force this education window. And, if you lose all your money, it's your fault. You're just dumb. You're holding the bag, whatever it is. I don't think that's the way to look at this. I think we need more industry leaders to stand up and build better products that really solve real world use cases. And for us, we thought, a crypto wallet could help solve the creator economy problem by, allowing people to have self-sovereignty and complete control and just peer-to-peer transactions. But what makes it better is that, you obviously have that context of, I'm buying a thing and I'm making money, and it's a very different, analog to what we currently see, where it's like, the fragmented Web3 experience that's just so opaque to the average person. And so I think we just need to really build those utility layers to make it worth the while of the people joining.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you guys have been building for 5 years, right? Calaxy app. So, and I've known you for quite a while, so it's really great to see the progress that's been made. I can't wait to, see what else happens and the creators you accept into this fund. I can't wait to get my Calaxy app set up. So I'm really excited for this.
I'm super excited. I mean, I would love to let us know how we could help. Like, I mean, this is great. Obviously, one of the leading reporters in the space. So it's super important to find a way to give you guys the platforms that you guys need, and really building your tribe, because you got fans. People like you. So
Thank you.
We want to make sure that you guys have a place for you and your fans to hang out and complete control. And there's no space for me as the platform to get in between that.
Right.
And so we're super excited and would love to partner and figure out what other tools and stuff that we could build into it. And it's early days. We have a very hefty roadmap, very ambitious roadmap ahead of us, and so we're super excited about the additional features that are going to be launched through Worlds soon.
Cool. We're running low on time, so if anybody wants to get in touch with you and ask you further questions, how can they do that? How can they learn more about Calaxy app and Worlds?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. You can find me on X at Solo Ceesay, SOLOCEESAY, at solo.ceesay on Instagram if people out there listening or still use Instagram. And yeah, I mean, I'm super open and down as a team, and we're, really excited about building and really helping usher in a new wave of adoption for our industry. It's about time we actually have some real use cases and apps come together.
Definitely. Well, Solo, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great South by Southwest, and I'm so happy that you took time to come to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Special thanks to 4 Labs Digital for producing Web3 Deep Dive podcast. I'd also like to thank the sponsors behind Web3 Deep Dive. You can click the links in the show notes to learn more about each of the Web3 initiatives from these sponsors. Finally, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share.